The wrong order. The diner smelled like grease and coffee, the kind of scent that made my stomach rumble even before I'd finished my shift. The hum of the espresso machine and the clatter of dishes filled the air, but today something felt off. The woman who walked in later, tall with a sharp nose and a face already flushed with irritation, was the kind of customer who made my blood pressure spike before I even saw what she wanted. She stormed to the counter, her voice a sharp hiss. "You gave me the wrong order." I looked up from the coffee machine, my hand still stained with cream. The plate in front of her was a mess. Cold coffee, a grilled cheese that had gone limp, and fries that were crisp on the outside but soggy in the middle. Exactly what she'd asked for. I blinked. "Ma'am, this is exactly what you ordered." Her eyes narrowed. "That's not what I wanted." I sighed, rubbing my temples. "Well, you did want it exactly like this. You specifically asked for the house coffee, not the iced latte. You wanted the grilled cheese with no pickles, and the fries were extra crispy because you said you liked them that way." She glared. "But I told you I wanted it better." I raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, you told me exactly what you wanted." I wrote it down. Twice. She grabbed her phone, her knuckles whitening. "I'm calling the manager." I held up my hands, palms up. "You don't need to. I'm happy to fix it, but you're going to have to pay for the extra coffee and the wrong sandwich." She hesitated, then slammed her credit card on the counter with a sound that made the cash register jingle. "I'll be back." I watched her leave, shaking my head. That was until the manager walked in, rubbing his temples like he'd just been through a bad headache. "Hey," he said, leaning against the counter. "That lady just called and said she's suing you for misrepresentation." I nearly choked on my coffee. "What?" "She says you gave her the wrong order, and now she thinks you're trying to scam her." I sat down, my hands trembling. "No, she did get what she asked for. She just didn't know how to ask for it." The manager sighed, rubbing his face. "You're telling me she's suing you because you didn't read her mind?" I nodded. "Exactly." He grabbed his phone, his expression grim. "I'm calling her back." A few minutes later he hung up, his face pale. "She wants to meet you at the courthouse tomorrow to settle this." I stared at him. "What? She's not going to sue me." "She is," he said, voice tight. "But she's also bringing her lawyer, and she's very upset." I groaned, rubbing my neck. "This is ridiculous." "Yeah," he said. "But if you don't show up, she'll have your diner's name on her resume." I exhaled sharply, then nodded. "Fine, I'll go." The next morning the courthouse was cold and sterile, the kind of place that made you feel small. I sat across from her, her lawyer glaring at me like I was some kind of criminal. The woman herself was even angrier in person. Her face flushed, her hands clenched. "You're responsible for this?" she demanded, her voice sharp. I nodded. "I am." She leaned forward, her eyes burning. "You know what I ordered?" I smiled. "I know what you told me to order." She scoffed. "But it wasn't what I meant." I stood up, crossing my arms. "Then you need to learn how to communicate better." The lawyer opened his mouth, but she cut him off with a sharp gesture. "We're withdrawing the suit." I blinked. "What?" She crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "Because you're right. I did ask for the wrong things, and I did get exactly what I said. But I also realized I was an idiot." I nodded. "So you're admitting fault?" She smirked just a little. "I'm admitting I was wrong." I shook her hand, and for the first time I didn't feel like a failure. "Good. Now let's get you a better coffee." She laughed, a real genuine sound. "Deal." As I walked back to the diner, the sun breaking through the clouds, I realized something. Sometimes the best way to fix a mistake is to admit it, and sometimes the most unreasonable customers are the ones who teach you the most. The diner was quieter now, the morning rush over. I wiped down the counter, the scent of coffee and grease still lingering in the air. The woman from earlier walked in, her face softer now, and ordered a latte, properly made this time. I handed it to her and she smiled. "Thanks." I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere. Sometimes the best lessons aren't about fixing mistakes. They're about learning when to let go.